And I've told you recently about Judge Lambert's rulings that first authorized that we can take discovery into the Clinton email issues. And in that decision last month, he said, come up with a plan and I'll approve the plan, or a plan that I can approve to cover the discovery that I'm authorizing you to engage in. Excuse me. Then, of course, we come up with the plan. The Justice Department and the State Department both oppose. The Justice Department represents the State Department in our Freedom of Information Act litigation, and they oppose our discovery plan. Now, going back to where this lawsuit began, it's about the Benghazi talking points and any Clinton emails on it. And needless to say, we were given the runaround by the Justice Department and State Department about the existence of the Clinton emails. In fact, it was this lawsuit that forces disclosure of the Clinton email system to the courts and to the American people. So the court's very interested to know whether it was hoodwinked, or whether the Clinton email system was designed to thwart the Freedom of Information Act, and whether or not all the documents that could have been found were found in response to Judicial Watch's lawful document request about the Benghazi talking points. Now, the talking points that I'm referencing are the talking points used by then Obama UN Ambassador Susan Rice to go on 5 Sunday morning talk shows shortly after the Benghazi terrorist attack in September of 2012. And those talking points were lies. They were falsely telling the American people that a spontaneous demonstration caused in response to an internet video led to the killings of those 4 Americans in Benghazi that day, when in fact it was an organized terrorist attack organized by Al-Qaeda and Al-Qaeda allies in Benghazi. They didn't want that to come out before the election, so they lied to us about the murder of 4 Americans in a terrorist attack. That's President Obama, Hillary Clinton, Susan Rice, etc. So we were very interested in that. We exposed a lot of the details about that. Much of what we know about the Benghazi scandal is because of Judicial Watch's work, and that led in part to the disclosure of the Clinton emails. So the judge granted us discovery, and this week he authorized the discovery plan, and in doing so, he cast aside most of the Justice Department and State Department's objections. If you want to know why President Trump might be frustrated from time to time, because he's sitting there in the White House. He's no fan of Hillary Clinton. He wants the truth in Benghazi. He wants accountability. And his Justice Department and State Department are opposing our efforts in that regard. And I guarantee you he's being told by his lawyers, don't intervene. You can't call the Justice Department, tell them to give Judicial Watch the documents, or just disclose the documents on your own. So it's up to Judicial Watch to do this work. And so the judge's ruling, which was issued, it's a 16-page ruling, here it is. It was issued on January 15th, so that was Tuesday this week, I think. When this case began, Judicial Watch sought to verify the State Department's search for records from former Secretary Hillary Clinton and her aides concerning the talking points former UN Ambassador Susan Rice used to respond to the attack on the U.S. Embassy in Benghazi, Libya. But the case has since expanded to question the motives behind Clinton's private email use while secretary and behind the government's conduct in this litigation. Last month, this court ordered the parties to meet and confer to plan discovery. As I pointed out, that didn't work out all that well. Judicial Watch submitted a proposal plan. The government responded and countered with its proposal, which was much more narrow, allowed us access to 2 witnesses, and didn't want to answer any other questions on Benghazi. And Judicial Watch replied, and this memorandum and order maps the path forward. Discovery shall be limited to 3 issues: whether Clinton intentionally attempted to evade FOIA by using a private email while Secretary of State, whether states' efforts to settle this case in late 2014 and early 2015 amounted to bad faith, and whether state adequately searched for records responsive to Judicial Watch's FOIA request. The parties shall complete discovery within 120 days, so that would be May 15th, unless they seek additional time. The court will hold a post-discovery hearing to ascertain the adequacy of state searches to determine if Judicial Watch needs to depose additional witnesses, including Hillary Clinton and her former Chief of Staff, Cheryl Mills, and to schedule dispositive motions. So, what did the judge authorize us to do? He authorized us to seek the testimony and gain the testimony of at least 7 top State Department and Clinton aides. And he also ordered us, or allowed us, to send interrogatory questions. These are written questions that have to be responded to in writing under oath to Susan Rice and Ben Rhodes. And now, who is Susan Rice? You already know, the former UN ambassador. Ben Rhodes is the national security official in the Obama White House who helped create the talking points. And of course, as I pointed out, the Justice Department and State didn't want any of that to happen. We initially wanted to question them in person. The court said, no, you can send them written questions. And this is the court's response to this State Department's and this Justice Department's efforts to stonewall us and cover up on Benghazi. Yet Rice's talking points and State's understanding of the attack play an unavoidably central role in this case. Information about the points' development and content, as well as their discussion and dissemination before and after Rice's appearances on the Sunday morning talk shows, could reveal unsearched relevant records. State's role in the points' content and development could shed light on Clinton's motives for shielding her emails from FOIA requesters, Judicial Watch, or on State's reluctance to search her emails. So this is a major development that we're going to be able to ask questions. And we're not going to be able to conduct a fishing expedition. We got to keep the questions focused but thorough. And we've got a court order to follow, but these are questions that no one else was willing to ask or pursue, and that Judicial Watch is pursuing over the objections of the deep state. So it's a great development on behalf of the rule of law, accountability, and transparency in government, this court ruling. And in addition to these written questions, witnesses will also have to be questioned in person under oath by Judicial Watch. And these witnesses include Eric Boswell. Eric Boswell was a former Assistant Secretary for Diplomatic Security who warned Hillary Clinton about her BlackBerry use. And their BlackBerry was the way that she communicated or accessed her secret email system. And Mrs. Clinton talked to him about it. So we want to question him about that. Government didn't want us to do that. We get to depose him according to the court. Justin Cooper, the Clinton Foundation employee who created the ClintonEmail.com server. So in its proposal, this is the court's wording, Judicial Watch noted Cooper's prior congressional testimony appears to contradict portions of the testimony provided to Judicial Watch by Yuma Abedin in the case before Judge Sullivan, who's another judge who allowed Judicial Watch some discovery in this case in 2016. Cooper repeatedly told Congress that Abedin helped set up the Clintons' private server. Abedin testified under oath she did not know about the server until later. So who's telling the truth? We get to ask Cooper questions about that. Clarence Fenney, who is the former Deputy Director of State's Executive Secretariat staff. And Executive Secretariat is the part of the State Department that provides support for the Secretary of State, essentially the Secretary of State's executive staff. This case questions hinge on what specific state employees knew and when they knew it. As the principal advisor and records management expert responsible for controlling Clinton's official correspondence and records, Finney's knowledge is particularly relevant. This other witness is really big. Heather Samuelson, the former State Department senior advisor who helped facilitate State's receipt of Clinton's emails. This case turns on what specific government employees knew and when they knew it. So we should be able to depose Samuelson according to the court. And of course, Heather Samuelson was also Hillary Clinton's private lawyer who was involved in the destruction of those 33,000 emails. So we'll be, I think, asking, the lawyers ask the question in the end, I just watch. We'll be asking questions, you can be sure about that. So this is a major victory for accountability. So this discovery will take place, as I say, over the next 4 months. And so these are the witnesses initially the court allowed us to question. And as the court notes, he may consider additional witnesses, such as Hillary Clinton later. We'll have to make the case to him if we do want to speak to her, which I suspect we might want to. And now the government came back almost immediately after the court's ruling and said, there's a government shutdown, we can't do discovery. And the State Department at the time was largely shut down, so there's not much we could have said to say to the court, hey, you got to force the State Department to come to work to do this discovery. But it so happened that President Trump ordered much of the State Department back to work this week. So some of this discovery will take place, and it's already taken place because we sent out material pursuant to the court's orders earlier this week. Because in addition to the sort of in-person discovery where we're taking depositions, we get to serve document requests about who knew what and when about the Clinton email issue. Take depositions potentially about the Clinton email issue from State Department, other State Department representatives, and obviously there are other interrogatories that we'll be able to serve on the State Department about the Clinton email and related Benghazi issue. But isn't it remarkable that for all the noise about what Clinton did during the presidential campaign with the Clinton emails, that there's been no follow-up by the Justice Department, no follow-up by the State Department, no follow-up by Congress. Now, Congress has looked into a little bit into the handling of the Clinton email system and the cover-up of of her misconduct by the Obama Justice Department and the FBI. The James Comey protection racket that he ran to help Hillary Clinton. But no one's followed up on key questions about the Clinton emails. Where are they? How were they deleted? What's going on? Why haven't they done anything on that? Well, Judicial Watch is doing that now. And it's disappointing, I'm sure, to many, many Americans that the Justice Department is still protecting Hillary Clinton. The State Department was still protecting Hillary Clinton. But this is why you have groups like Judicial Watch, because we're independent of politics. We're not run by the deep state. We don't run for the hills like many members of Congress do when anything controversial comes up, and certainly when anything related to Hillary Clinton comes up. So Judicial Watch, once again, is providing a key leadership role for, as I said, government accountability, transparency, integrity, and the rule of law. And Hillary Clinton is going to, or her actions are going to be central to this discovery that will be taking place over the next 4 months. Now, it may take 5 months or 6 months, depending on what happens if witnesses fight or the government shutdown goes on too long, and we may have to delay discovery a little bit till the government gets back to full operations. But this is remarkable, isn't it? It's just great news, and I thank you, our supporters out there, who help us do this. Our lawyers who are working hard on this issue can't do it without your support. As we try to manage this here at Judicial Watch, we need the resources to be able to do that and take on the government, and you help us do that. So I want to thank you for that.